that opening F sharp is difficult unless you use that flowing wrist motion. So then you know exactly when you're going to fall down. And then you're using that flowing wrist. That's softer now in the answer. Loop. It's very tricky to do that, just the question and answer. Float that F sharp with a longer finger and a wrist motion going through it like I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So it gives you that flow so you know exactly. And you know exactly as that's decaying that you're coming in less, right?
Right.
You want to go in this way. Like
right.
It with your wrist toward you. You're playing this tempo now. It's easy for the notes to start crowding in on you, right? Okay, now you have another F sharp. So how are you going to play the third F sharp that's tied? Yeah. That's coming out of a very soft B there, right? Mm-hmm. Now that first D should be, the D of the downbeat should be a bigger sound because you have two Ds. So the first D is still not the intensity of the one you're going toward, which is da-dum, there, bum, there.
Yeah, so you want the second one to be loudest, right?
And we need more because this can't peter out. Because then you can't make that beautiful fall down by half steps, which is right, you're coming from this to that. And so you need intensity on the diminished chord. And suddenly, that's what's so beautiful about that. So he goes in and out of those it's never a flat dynamic. He like opens it up and then he folds it back in. Good. That's good. That was good. That was good. That D was good. Now that D is going to stay intense and the E sharp isn't going to interrupt that because it's on an offbeat, the E sharp. That's just going for this one. And then this one's the sighing one. There. Perfect. And then you have to listen to the decay on that C sharp so that what flows out of it is da, e, da. So you don't have an interruption, right? You're always like horizontal motion. So you have this, and it flows down. Now this has to be soft here. It's easy to get. You don't want that. This is less. Going toward the. That's a good play. High. Very good. That's excellent. And then you're going to answer that.
Right.
This can get tricky because we can get pencil point sounding fingers. Right?
Yeah.
So this tells us just to drift out of that. High. That was good. And remember that half note is a slight delay because it's coming out of a lot of eighth notes, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
About piano playing. When we're singers, we can do that easier. See how I do that? I float right into it underneath that thumb, right?
Right.
And then we have now this was a place where that third beat F sharp was too loud because remember it's a third beat, so it's kind of at the end of the measure evaporating out. The third beat big. So so this would be soft. Now you do right? So that put an arrow down on that third beat F sharp there. Piano playing is a lot of breathing like a vocalist. We're like vocalists, but through our arms and hands. But we are breathing with our playing. Appoggiatura here. Next one. Then do, next one. That's what I'm listening for.
Right.
You have to drag your fingers through the honey when you do it. Definitely. You can't be finger pointing. So that's what you're going to get. You're not quite doing that. You're not doing that. But you want to kind of drag through the honey each group.
Yeah.
Your arm weight. So your arm weight is the second group is less and the least is high. And it's not symmetrical. These are not symmetrical numbers, these groups, are they? Because they go across the measure. I'm not even counting notes. I don't want to count notes. I just want to feel I'm going to the appoggiaturas, and then I have a little ending to the whole thing, which is yeah, it's easy for that to get very robotic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hard thing, because that's the peak of the first section where it's like the singer is just like letting everything out.
Yeah, yeah.
It has to have the command of all those many notes without losing their breath and keeping the control of the phrase and the contours and the ins and outs of it. It's very interesting. What he's doing there is he's really coming down with a B minor chord with lower neighbors. Look at this. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Lower neighbors. Except here it deviates. And this is different. But here, here's upper neighbors. That's the appoggiatura. At the very beginning, maybe if we think of those notes more that are the principal notes, but we don't want to poke them, but they're not. We don't want to come in too loud on those auxiliary notes that are the lower neighbors. I'm trying to think. Yeah, think of it this way. Do you think of it that way when you do that beginning?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Instead of dee da da ba da, we don't want that. Space the notes out. You have plenty of time. Rolling motion, then at the end, you can really say, now I'm really sighing. I'm so sad at the end. And around to there, up and around to there. Get a little circle there at the end. Remember that B at the end, you have a slight delay because it's all those eighth notes.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
See?
Okay.
By and large, the second beats, don't let them jump out so much. Make everything cushy. Don't let them poke out, in other words.
Yeah.
Oh, cushy. Cushy. As you can see. That beautiful. Yeah, you don't want the second beat to drown out the fundamental bass note.
Okay.
What really happens if you have a long note on top, like a half note, all of a sudden that second beat jumps out.
Yeah, yeah.
The melody, the melodic line, which is the soloist. It's a soloist-driven waltz. There's no counterpoint in the left hand really at all here. Because remember, this is going to be the hand that's doing all the sculpting. This doesn't out there. It's just a that's all it is. So, yeah. Drag those fingers. And right away back to this is soft, right? It's going to float this one now. New. See it going to there.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah.
Little detail that will help you. Now in this new section, you have to decide in the right hand how exactly you're doing this, because all the repetitious rhythms of the same rhythm all over and over. Now you can look at the harmony to help you with this. Or in D major, I would tone down that left hand again. See, I'm not trying to jump out on that second beat. Maybe let's do it. I personally wouldn't. But in the right hand with this side, what you're doing. So this is bigger. It's D major. It's happier and brighter, and it starts a new part. Da 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 da. And again, this will help if you do this. Da, then dominant, tonic. D major. Now it's folding down. Then it's revving up again. Da, 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 dee, da, 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 da. Then it's going to minor. You have to change your mood when he goes back.
Yeah.
So where he's resolving from this to this and then coming down, I would come down after that and then I'd rev back up again. So you have to shape it a little out and pull it back in. And some people take a little broadening there because of that harmonic minor. Back to tempo. Falls down again. So you falling down makes sense from here. Right? Those are principles. Mm-hmm. But over here you can linger a little because of this going back to the minor suddenly. Back. Just a little bit. See, then it goes back. It's not hugely. It's like a little broadening. I think it really works.
Yeah.
It's R-I-T-E-N, tenuto, not R-I-T, which means super slow. Watch it. So you're improvising down with that scale and the little chromatics, but full the beginning idea. Don't let the left hand make the right hand vertical. The left hand has to be horizontal, the chords. So you think horizontal, horizontal. I'm thinking horizontal, you know that. You know that. So that everything's horizontal. Everything's moving that way. So these are really nice now. Be careful of this one, because this can go. You gotta be careful of that.
Okay. Those
are like grouped in a contour, just dragging over with a little kind of horizontal motion. How do you do it? Lots of wrist.
Yeah.
I like the way you got softer there. That was really well done. You dipped that down, which was amazing phrasing. It was really good. And then you opened up to the improvisation of coming down. And it really worked where it was just here, where it comes back to what we recognized from the beginning. You did really worked. This note can have more of the pull of the five. Pull the five in. This one too. It has an accent on this with a little bit more. One has an accent. Get the red.
Okay, accent. Yeah.
There. Yeah, can you broaden that about? Drag your notes upon down there. Hi. You could do different things as long as it's kind of phrased horizontally without any bumps up and down. So let's say you wanted to do it a little differently this time. You would say, maybe you said, you want to be more in the keys. That's acceptable as long as it's not bumpy. For me, I guess I'm in the mood of the soft. You know where I come out more is at the end of that. Is where.
Yeah.
You could do it that way as long as you're not bumpy. I think you'd do it. But the listener heard it a different way before, and it may be novel to do it a different way now. because that sharp was floated out of here. And 1, 2, less.
Right.
Softest B here. This is very soft.
Right.
Cadence. Yeah. You're falling back down, and you're going to continue. Right. Then a surprise major. That's a beautiful transition into the parallel.
Yeah, it's so different.
Now, how are you pedaling that? Because I noticed, how are you pedaling the measure before you go into the major? Now, this has to be by itself, and I wouldn't pedal that at all. That just
right.
Not dry, but your fingers are playing that, so you don't carry over the preceding measure into that with the pedal. Make sure the pedal ended. But you're still going across, so it doesn't sound like there's a hiccup. You just go floating across, but the pedal stops for that F sharp. Pedal, 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 hold. No pedal. But that's very smooth. You have to have a very smooth transition without there being sort of dried up sound, but because you're holding that thumb, but it came out of the chord in the left hand, it sort of goes from here into here very seamlessly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hold the pedal down, but you'll lift your finger on the right hand up where the rest is, so the pedal will be down like this, right? Then no. You have to have a completely different mood switch here. This is like you're making the listener completely change their mood. So I think it's how you treat the D sharp. You have to make a big surprise for everybody. You have to make that D sharp in the trio a big surprise. And you have to figure out, how do I do that? You have to feel that like minor to major. And this is a bell-like feeling to me. It has little bells going through it. Because it's it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job. And what I like about this time that you're doing it, yum ba, 5 4 3 less, dum ba ba less, bum ba ba less, right? Even though those are downbeats, they're actually going down less, the way it's written, right?
Right.
Less, bum ba ba less, bum ba ba less, yum body less. Yeah, it's definitely written that way. This was good. Roll around to that. Because you are going to those long notes, those beautiful long notes. Everything's rolling around to the long notes. So I agree with you to put the D, but if you're going to have an exact repeat of that, you should have a little bit of an echo of that measure, since you're doing 2 Ds, right? The first, it's deeper, yeah. That makes sense, right? So echo it for sure. For sure. I think I'll just let that roll. I don't think I would fuss with it.
Yeah.
It'd be a rolled like measure. It's like you feel like you're in one. Just rolling around in one. This whole section feels like it's in one. It really does sometimes.
Yeah.
I would have a new pedal. So you have, this is, watch. New pedal. Yeah, that's got to be by itself.
Okay, yeah.
By itself. You don't drag that across. Cause
yeah.
Okay. Wait. Gotta be, that's the right pedaling, but this note crashed a little too much.
Okay.
That's it's a really tricky place to like listen to the ends of notes. Watch. It's real. It's breathing. You've got to breathe that so that that note doesn't come in too soon and it doesn't get punched.
Okay.
It's something that's hard to teach, but you want to, like if you sang it, you'd know the right moment for that solo F sharp coming back with the tie. And it has to have that color that you started with. But I think you're now organizing your phrasing and clarifying what you want to do with this thing and how your questions and answers and notes that are next to each other have to be different, and where are you going and where is the middle section going, and not being copy paste kind of rhythms. But the thread of melody and the harmony really tells you how to drop that down too. Melody and harmony together